Hey guys, if you're watching this, you're likely thinking about becoming a mortgage loan officer, and I think that's really great. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Zevi. I'm a mortgage loan officer. I've been doing this for well over 10 years. I own a mortgage business in Los Angeles. I've also been recognized as a top producing loan officer by Scotsman Guide, and I'm the creator of the part-time residential and commercial lender academies, both of which are available for you via link in the description of this video. Now in this video, I want to do something just a little bit different. I want to talk to you about the different things that I wish somebody would have talked to me about before I got my NMLS license. Now there's a bunch of them, and sometimes we look at things a year or two later and we think, kind of wish somebody told me about this, would have saved me a bunch of time. So that's what this video is all about. I'm pretty sure you're gonna get a ton of value out of it, so stick around and let's get into it, all right? So the first things first, a lot of people are currently working within the realm of lending, and truth be told, they don't really know if they need an NMLS license or not. So to fix that first problem, I've actually created a document. It's 3 pages, and it's available in the description of this video via link. All you gotta do is just drop your email, and I'll go ahead and I'll send it to you. 3 pages worth of questions and answers as to whatever it is you're doing right now in the lending world to decide if you're somebody who actually needs an NMLS license or not. Now, clearly, if you want to be a full-blown originator, then yes, you absolutely need an NMLS license, but otherwise, drop your email and I'll be happy to send it over to you. Now, should you need an NMLS license? Zevi, how do we go about doing that? Well, it's really not that difficult. All you got to do is complete 20 hours worth of pre-licensing education, which you can do on Mortgage Educators online. Now, Mortgage Educators is not sponsoring this video, and they're not paying me anything to say that. It's just the platform that I typically use every time I have to renew my license. I think they're pretty great. I think you'll enjoy them. So I'll drop a link in the description so you could check it out. Once you complete the training, you submit your application to NMLS, you pass the exam, you got to pass a background test, fingerprinting, and pay your fee, which to my recollection is right around $330 in California. Obviously, depending on which state you're in, might be different. And then you're licensed by the NMLS. However, what you should keep in mind is that depending on where you're going to work, things might just look a little bit different. Let me explain that to you for a moment. There's 3 different options. Option number 1 is at the bank. Option number 2 is for a broker who's regulated by the Department of Real Estate. And then option number 3 is by a broker who's regulated by the DFPI. All 3 of those would require different things. So before you venture on to taking your NMLS exam, I would highly recommend that you figure out where you might want to work first and then do everything according to that. And the reason I say that is because, as an example, we are regulated by the Department of Real Estate, which means that I need a real estate license with an NMLS endorsement to be able to originate loans. Hopefully that makes sense to you, all right? So that would be my advice to you. Now, in addition to that, depending on where you decide to work, if you decide to work for a bank or for a broker, you will have different product options available, different people that you can help. The reason I'm telling you this is from personal experience. I started working at the bank level, and to be fair, I honestly did not know that there were any other loans available other than the ones that you get when you walk in with your W-2s and your tax returns, which, to be honest, was extremely limiting. When I no longer worked at the bank and I started working for a broker, I realized that there is a world of programs that I honestly was not aware of that could literally tailor to people who do not qualify conventionally. And that typically tends to be most self-employed borrowers. Why? Because they write off the majority of their income. So you got to use other forms of income to qualify them. And believe it or not, that is just 50% of the lending world. Isn't that pretty crazy? Me working at the bank, I thought that was 100% of the lending world, and that was only 25% of the pie. So what is the other half? Which leads us into private money, that being the 3rd bucket. And private money would be really much the same as hard money. So for all these loans that I could not put together, I never once inquired if they were an investment property if the person wanted or needed a private money loan, because I couldn't offer it, nor did I know that it existed. But had I known, I would have been able to make a lot more money. Now, they didn't offer it at the bank, but they did offer it at the broker level. So same thing when you go venture off and decide where you're going to work, you should really ask these questions. Figure out if the broker shop not only brokers conventional loans, but also non-qualified mortgages, alternative documentation, in addition to private money, because all these things will not only develop your skill set, they will give you the tools to be able to make more money as a lender in any environment, especially when rates are higher. Now, the last bucket, of course, is commercial lending. Now, for a very long time, I thought only the gurus, the smartest people that have been doing this for 30 years plus, veterans, are the ones that are able to originate within the commercial space, because it is so difficult to get into that. And the truth is, it really isn't. Anyone can do it. Super simple. And in my opinion, probably even simpler than doing residential lending, because it's a lot more straightforward. There's a ton more benefits to being a commercial lender. One, licensing is a lot simpler. You could do it nationwide. According to ChatGPT, only 6 or 7 states actually require a license, which means that you could literally originate under an LLC in most of the country. That means you could actually be in business tomorrow, all right? The only thing lacking clearly would be the skill to be able to put it together. And if you wanted to figure that out, check out the link to the Part-Time Commercial Lender Academy in the description of this video. However, commercial loans are bigger and they expire every 3, 5, or 7 years, which means that unless you want to sell the real estate as an owner, you don't have a choice. You kind of have to refinance it in any economy, all right? The loan sizes are significantly bigger, which means that you could literally work on 1 or 2 deals a quarter and make a very similar income to doing a bunch of little residential loans. There's just a lot of different benefits. The residential borrower typically is a lot more emotional, whereas the commercial borrower is a lot more business oriented. So it's very black and white. You could actually pay out residential loan officers out of your commercial deal. And when I say that, you could pay their companies, you could write them into your term sheet as long as their companies are licensed wherever it is you're doing business, and then both companies could get paid directly through closing. It's a wonderful way to have people working on your team. And why would they do that? Because a lot of residential loan officers don't actually originate commercial loans. So why wouldn't they do it? Makes sense, right? Whereas in the residential world, most of your business is at the end user level. Commercial lending, you could actually have a bunch of foot soldiers, which are residential loan officers. You could do it nationwide, and you could thrive, all right? So those are some of the differences that I think you should be aware of before you actually dive in. You should decide if you want to get started with residential lending and go through the whole NMLS journey. Or maybe you're somebody who just never knew that you could be a commercial lender, and depending on which state you're in, may have a lot less red tape to get started tomorrow, and all you really need to do is develop the skill set and literally be in business for yourself, keep your day job and do this part-time, do 1 or 2 deals quarterly, and there we go, right? So I did not have access to this information that I'm giving you today, and therefore I did not know it existed, and there was nothing I could do about something that I do not know exists. But now that you do have that information, you do know that it exists, you could definitely do something about it, all right? So we covered a lot of ground. I hope this was helpful for you. If it was, I would highly appreciate if you give this video a thumbs up, simply because it's the only way Google knows that it's relevant and it keeps pushing it forward. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Let me know what they are. I'll be happy to answer them for you. If you want to learn more about either the residential or the commercial academies, both of them are available for you via link in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you again on my next one. Take care.